Hey everyone, it's Paul Hamilton here from UTB. I thought I'd share with you today how ChatGPT and AI can help with app development, particularly iOS. So you can see here I have created an app. It basically embeds a 3D scene from Spell and it allows the user to add comments in regard to the scene itself. So you can see here it beautifully navigates, love 3D scenes, love Spline, CoSpaces, Sketchfab, all those great sites. It allows you to produce these little text boxes over the top, and it has a draggable feature that I can just drag those to different elements, to different parts of the scene. And I had this idea because it was something that I would love to be able to do. And I couldn't find an app that actually did that, be able to make comments and annotations over the top of a 3D website. So I built one. Now I have very little Swift, very little Xcode experience. I've got some base knowledge. We never outsource something that we don't have a basic knowledge in. I've learned that lesson. But what I wanted to share with you today is how you can use ChatGPT to go from idea generation, like I have there, into a full-blown application going forward. So I thought I'd share with you a detailed run through of that version and how that all works and how the relationship with ChatGPT works as well. So bear with me. There'll be moments here that are a little bit chaotic, a little bit different. So I'm in ChatGPT now, and you can see here I wanted to build an app and it had a particular purpose to it. And so I wanted to build it, and it said, yes, I can definitely help you with that, Paul. Would you like an AR view or a web view? So I wanted an embedded web view. Unfortunately, I went off on a bit of a tangent, as I am prone to do in regard to it. But what it did do is it produced the iOS Swift code, and I copied it directly from that. So it gave me that initial code. And so what I did with that is I opened up Xcode. I created a new project. We might just call this something like OpenURL. It's going to be an iPad app / iPhone app. So I made sure that I selected that one. And I put in a product name and I press next. And it generated that, and it'll generate a folder where it's going to keep all of the assets as well. As it's doing that, you can see it opens up some code. It opens up the content view up here. And it gives you a little bit of sample code there, and it comes up with a preview of what that sample code does. So once again, I'm going to actually copy that code here. You can see what that code does there, and I'm going to delete it, and I'm basically going to paste in the ChatGPT, and I'm going to change the destination to an iPad simulator so we can kind of see what it looks like as we go through. So I've pasted that in. I'm going to press build, and it's going to build that out. Now, the first time you do it, or the second time, it might say build failed, and it's the only error that I get initially, and it's this one here, this main. So if you go up to your folder, and you go up to the open app up top, and you just delete the main, that will rectify it. That happens quite a bit in that initial phase there. That's the only thing that you really need to rectify. So I'm going to press play again, and it's going to build out that initial thought of my app, but it's going to be very basic. It's going to be fundamental. So as that builds that out, I'm going to go to my simulator, and it'll give me a little bit of a look at what that code has actually done. So you can see here, I can rotate in my simulator. I can rotate that round to portrait and landscape view. It will go white screen just for a little while as it builds it out, and then you'll hopefully see a little text box down the bottom where I can insert the URL. So the fundamental app that's been built here has basically allowed me to paste in that text box, and it should bring up that beautiful 3D scene that I've linked there. So you can see here, let's copy one of these spell scenes. This could be any URL at all. And I'm going to paste it into my simulator, this app that's produced this first bit of code here. So I'll click there and I'll paste. As I said, this will be a little bit chaotic. There'll be lots of mistakes here as I'm doing this. And you can see here I've pressed paste twice. So I'm going to get rid of the second URL because it's done it twice. And hopefully when I press go, there's a go button on the right, it's going to open up that URL. And so ChatGPT has given me the code for that initial idea, right? And now but I'm going to start to look at how I can actually alter that. So that's looking really good. I can change the URL, I can add another one, I can do a range of different things, which is great. So let's go back to our code. And so after I've done that, I can then start to think about how I might be able to edit. So I'm saying now, can I add this? Can I add this? And it's going to regenerate that code and give me extra bits. And it says here that I can now have text boxes that are draggable because I asked ChatGPT to reproduce the code to do that. So sometimes you might run out of the latest model in ChatGPT, so you can just go to a new one at the top, so create a new chat, and you can see here on what I've done here, I copy pasted that code and I kind of restarted again in a new chat, just so that it reminds itself that this is the code that you've given me, this is what's working really well, and now underneath that I can start to iterate and start to look at new things that I want it to do. So here's your updated code, Paul. Here's your URL. This is where the user can put the URL in, and everything looks pretty good. But you can see further down, I'm starting to really converse with ChatGPT. I'm saying, look, this works great, but I need the text boxes to have a certain color. Whites, blues, blacks. I need the URL at the top. I need the text box to be shorter so it expands as the URL grows. I need to start applying some design to my application as I go through. And it's saying, Paul, yes, I can do that. And so it's giving me the updated SwiftUI web view input down there. And I'm continually telling it to do things. And it's changing, it's modified. And so if I open up the latest version of this code, I'm just going to copy it again. And I can do one of two things. I can start a new Xcode project, or I could just cut and paste over the top of the old one if I wanted to. So I'll just stop that simulator from going from that last project. If I went with new project, sometimes this is good to do because you're creating a new one. I'll start another one. Let's go with like a version 2. And when I create this new Xcode project, obviously I can put in that fresh code and it's not really cut and pasting over the top each time. So let's get rid of this code like we just did with the first one. We'll paste in the updated ChatGPT code. We'll change the simulator back to that iPad version and we'll press play. By the way, if you get errors, you can even screenshot that error and put it into ChatGPT and said rectify it for me, which is super cool in regard to debugging and getting your errors out of the way. But so far it's doing really, really well. So it's going to open up this new version. And I might make that simulator a little bit bigger, but you can see here, this is where I wanted it to change the colored boxes. And look at that. I've got open your spell here. I've got the URL at the top. The box is a bit smaller. I've got all of the blue, the black, and the white design that I wanted, and it's looking really good. Now I could iterate on that again. I could refine. I could keep developing that. But I love the fact that it's remembering that last code. It's giving me the new bits, and I can start to really think about what my app is actually looking like as well as the functionality of it. What is it actually doing? So let's put in up the top here. It's looking much better than it was before. So I'll just paste that URL directly in. I'll say open your spell there. And then you can see there that that's working beautifully in regard to the WebKit UI there. I can add my different comments. I can have them draggable around my room. And as you're watching this, you're probably thinking, Paul, why don't you add this? Why don't you add that? And that's something that you would just do with ChatGPT. You'd say, right, now I would like this and this and this, and you would start to develop your application as you went along. So that's the relationship with ChatGPT, right? Start off with that initial idea. So if I go right back to the start, it says, I want to build an app that does this, and start with the basics. Don't give it a list of 1,000 things. Start with the basic things. Copy that code and start a new Xcode project. And then what you'll find it'll start to generate that new code that you can update that code, and you can either cut and paste, or you can start a new Xcode project and build that in. So the relationships become generate that first bit of code and then start asking ChatGPT to reuse that code with new tools, new features, new buttons, and new design ideas as well. So if we just stop that one there and go to our content view, that's all looking pretty self-explanatory there, which is great. As I said before, as you get errors, you can cut and paste those directly into ChatGPT. But the thing that I love is you can actually get straight into the code now, not back to ChatGPT. And because I'm learning about what the button and the text and the speech marks actually do, I can actually start to make edits without ChatGPT because I'm learning what each does. So I'm not learning from scratch. I'm almost learning from a template. I can change the color of the background. I can change those colors of the buttons, and I can do that beautifully without actually relying on ChatGPT now because it's kind of built out that base, that fundamental app for me. So I thought I'd share that with you. ChatGPT communicates and works beautifully with Swift in regard to the language itself and the number of errors that you don't get, which I think is great. And it's a fantastic way if you're brand new to Xcode and Swift and you really want to get started. Start with a simple app, start with a little text button, start with some sort of interaction. And then as your ideas grow, then you can start to build out your ideas for products. We are living in a fascinating time in history where the ideas that you have, you don't need to rely on other people as much to start bringing those ideas to life. And that's what I love about how AI can help in product development, like app development, in regard to not having to rely on others. But once again, the thing that really strikes me is I'm learning about code as I'm doing this. So I'm asking ChatGPT questions, I'm looking at the code it's generated, I'm altering that code, and I'm starting to get a better sense on how the language of code can actually help my ideas come to life. I hope you found that useful. My name is Paul Hamilton, and I work for a company called Using Technology Better. And we train in a range of different things. So if you're interested in how AI can help utilize your workflows, get in touch with us. We love meeting new clients. We love working with you to make sure that you are using technology better and that you're starting to become more productive and bring your ideas to life through the magic of AI. Paul Hamilton here from Using Technology Better.